Good morning, everybody. So I was asked a question on my website about, it was a follow-up question basically on the article, the series I brought out on tips for weight management. And the question was asking, could I follow it up with some food recommendations that could help with weight management? And I thought it was a brilliant question, so I thought I'd provide my 5 go-to foods to help you with weight management, and I'll go through one by one as to why I recommend them and other pros to consuming them. But there are some negatives, as there is to all foods, so I'll highlight those as well. And so I thought this would be a great video for you guys, and hopefully it will help some of you with weight management. Now, my first one I'd recommend is a staple in my diet, and that is Greek yogurt. I pick this brand, the Fire brand. You don't have to, there are other brands out there, but I like the consistency of this one. And whilst it might not be the cheapest, it is far superior in my opinion to the others. So it's worth it for me to pay that premium price, for the quality you get from it. Now this bad boy here, comes at 54 calories, per 100 grams, and 10.3 grams of protein per 100 grams. Now, it's £5.50, so like I said, one of the downsides of this is, well, it don't come cheap, but no Greek yogurt necessarily comes cheap, and for some reason it shot through the roof in price. But I'd say a good chunk of the time, maybe 75-80% of the time, it's always on discount, and normally pick it up for around £4.50, which is still expensive, but as I say, I'm happy to pay that premium for the extra quality. Now, why do I recommend this one? Well, first of all, I believe this is very satiating. You could have a very small bowl yielding very few calories, yet you're very full from it. So I normally have anywhere from 300 to 500 grams, per sitting, if I have it on its own. But you can obviously have it in smaller amounts, and you can add it, to other meals. And that's one of the other pros. I believe this should be on your list for helping with weight management. It's very versatile. One of the things that people fall down on their diets is they just get bored with the same foods. Well, yes, it is obviously the same Greek yogurt, but you can add it to multiple different things. You can make very good healthy desserts, such as baked cheesecake, one of my favorites, and you can just simply add fruits to it. You can mix honey with it. You can put a little bit of cottage cheese in it. You can mix it with your oatmeal. There's just so many things you can do with it. The micronutrients, well, it is a nutrient powerhouse, but some of the micronutrients you get in there is calcium, so it helps to maintain strong bones. You've got probiotics in there, so it's good for gut health. You've got vitamin D, and you've got other, micronutrients in there as well. It's very low in carbs, it's 0% fat. You can buy a higher fat, Greek yogurt, but I particularly like the 0% because then I choose to add, either carbohydrates or fat, or even both, but if I don't want to, I can just have a pure protein product. So I love Greek yogurt. That's my first recommendation. And like I say, some of the negatives is quite pricey. Some people do experience bloatedness with it. I personally do not get that. But obviously if you're lactose intolerant, this may not be a good choice for you. But Greek yogurt is my food number 1. Second food is mince. Take your pick. You've got beef, you've got turkey, there's chicken, pork in some circumstances, and if you're in fancier countries, you've got venison, you've got so many, but I particularly like mince, because it's again a nutrient powerhouse. If it's beef, you've got a good array of B vitamins, you've got iron, you've got selenium, you've got zinc, but it's very high in protein. And if you pick, for example, this one, it's beef, but it's 5%, you can, get very low calories in the protein, it yields. Now, I keep on talking about protein, and it's very important, for many other reasons other than building muscle, okay, repairing muscle tissue, but it's the most satiating macronutrient, okay? So it's near on impossible, okay, to add fat by eating too much protein. So therefore it's got to be, okay, the primary macronutrient you consume before the others, okay? And things like beef, mince, turkey, you get high amounts of protein, okay, for relatively low calories, okay? Beef is around 22 grams per 100, turkey is around the same thing. Pretty much most of the mince, okay, is around about the 20 to 25 grams per 100, but it's, again, a nutrient powerhouse, okay? So one of my recommendations, it's very satiating, so you're going to be full up on relatively low amount of calories, okay? And yeah, it's one of the staples in my diet as well, okay? You can get higher fat content in mince, but then obviously the calories come up with it. That's why I choose to go low fat. And like I say, I do like to have some flexibility in adding fats or adding carbs or both in my meals, okay? So getting the lowest fat gives me a pure protein content, and then I can play with my fats and carbs as I see fit. Now, some of the negativity, obviously the ethical issue, okay? I won't talk too much about that because I don't want to sound condescending or two-faced, okay? But yeah, it's an ethical issue, and yeah, let's leave it there, okay? Some of the other negativity, okay, I know there's a lot of literature out there, okay, saying that beef goes towards increasing the risk of heart disease, but if you look at that research, it's not very well conducted, okay? And the type of people they're conducting that research on, okay, are people that are prime candidates for heart disease already, or, okay, they're giving poor quality mince. Okay, now obviously if you're going to eat it, source it ethically as possible, and also make sure you know where you're getting it from, okay? You don't necessarily have to go organic, just make sure it's a good product, okay? Now, it's fairly cheap, I would say, okay, in my opinion, okay? This particular one comes from Sainsbury's, but I also shop at Asda, also Tesco as well, and it's always around about the £4, £5 mark, okay, for a kilo of beef. Turkey's a little bit more expensive, okay, chicken's around the same price as turkey, okay, so I think it's pretty reasonable, okay, but obviously what's expensive and what's cheap is all relative to the individual, so I think that's pretty reasonable myself, okay, but again, look out for discounts, okay? More or less any supermarket's got a discount, okay, of some sort on any type of mince, so maybe shop according to those discounts if you want to save a bit of money, okay? So Greek yogurt number 1, mince number 2, number 3, okay, I'm going to go with, okay, extra thick protein shakes. Now obviously I haven't got one to hand, okay, but this is one of the brands I do use. It comes from Biotech USA, but also as well, okay, I also use whey protein from My Protein, okay, and obviously one of the benefits, okay, of extra thick shakes is it is satiating as hell. Now I know a lot of the reason why it's satiating is because of the air content in it, okay, but just to give her a little rundown, okay, to make an extra thick shake you need a ton of ice, protein powder and some type of liquid, but typically to make it even thicker you add a frozen berry in there, or frozen fruit, okay? Frozen berries are slightly better, but it does get more air in there, so okay, it is very filling for that reason. It's fairly cheap, okay, depending on the items you put in there, okay? It's very nutrient dense, okay, although protein powder does get a bad rap. You can see here the list of vitamins and minerals, okay? There's a lot of them, okay, in there. So you do get a good range of micronutrients, okay, available to you from that protein powder. And also as well, like I say, you'll get an extra micronutrients if you do start adding in fruit or vegetables, okay? So this is fantastic for that. Okay, now some of the negatives, okay, surrounding, okay, also as well, sorry, I'm just going to add in, okay, if you break it down, it might be expensive buying a whole pot at first, but once you break it down, typically my protein shakes, okay, thick protein shakes come at a cost of around 10 to 15 pence, okay, and I'm not trying to go cheap there. It's just because when you break it down, okay, you don't need a lot of protein in your shakes, okay, to make it extra thick. So it is quite cheap. Initially expensive to buy, but make it cheap, okay, per shake. Now some of the negatives, okay, is you need a good blender, okay. I've got a very good blender now, okay. I learned the hard way. I tried to get a cheap blender and it ended up busting the blade, because obviously churning the ice, making it extra thick, okay, it's not very easy to do, so you need to get a good blender, okay. So if you do buy a cheap one, it's likely to break, and this particular brand cost me about 200 quid, okay, but it has saved a lot of money in the long run, okay. So again, it's one of those things, initially expensive, but it will save you money, okay, if you can afford it. It's very noisy, so you need to pick and choose the times of the day you can have these shakes. If you've got a little one, okay, you certainly aren't going to get away with making these early in the morning, okay, or if you've got a next door neighbour that's attached to your house, you probably will get a knock on your door if you make it, okay, if they're working from home, okay, or they're just wondering what the noise is, okay. So that's some of the negativity around that, okay. People have reported, okay, bloatedness from protein shakes. I've had protein powder my entire, well, since I was 14, 15, I've never experienced, okay, bloatedness. So maybe you might have to, instead of getting whey, opt for a different kind of protein powder, maybe a soy protein powder, maybe a pea protein powder or a beef protein powder, okay, but whey works for me, and whey seems to be the best, okay, for these thick shakes. I've used casein, it does work, but the texture isn't as nice as the whey protein powder. Now that's food number 3. Food number 4, I'm going to go with what I refer to as filler foods, okay. Now, what am I on about? Asparagus, lettuce, okay. These type of things, yes, they are vegetables, okay, but I always refer to them as filler foods because I simply use these, okay, to fill in some meal where I want to be more full. I get enough micronutrients, I get enough nutrition from other foods, okay? I don't necessarily need to add in veg. I always do because obviously there's benefits of them, okay? But they're very filling, okay? Typically high in fiber, relatively cheap, okay? I only really buy asparagus, okay, when it's on offer. This I got from Costco, okay, and I think it's a very reasonable price for the amount of asparagus you get. Lettuce, I think this was 70p from Asda, okay, but you can stick them in to rice, okay, you can obviously add them on the side, you can make a rice salad, asparagus, tomato, you can put and peas in your salad, red peppers or green peppers, yellow peppers, whatever you want to put in there, okay, but these to me are filler foods. Being high in fiber, okay, they're very satiating, like I say, they're very cheap, okay, when all things considered, and they come with abundance of micronutrients. So if you aren't a person that gets a lot of nutrition elsewhere, these would be golden for you to put into your foods, okay, as extras. Now, some of the negatives around them is obviously they are very perishable, okay, they do not last long. Now, I would go through those, okay, in probably maybe 3 or 4 days, okay. If you don't have asparagus very much, you may want to obviously opt for foods that you can buy in smaller quantities, okay, and obviously in the summer months these foods don't last long, so they need to be refrigerated, and they can be quite bulky and take up a lot of room in your fridge, okay, so that's something to be careful of. And obviously being high in fiber, okay, don't have too much because you could be left bound up, okay, and experience some stomach issues, okay, because of it. So just be careful of those. But otherwise, I believe, okay, these are a must if you are going to, okay, try to manage your weight. In particularly if you are obviously in a weight loss phase, these are the type of foods you should add in. I don't count them, okay, the calories. I know there's calories in them, but I personally don't count them because I only count calories because I want to monitor, okay, the amount of fat that I'm putting on or losing, okay, according to my goal of that particular phase, okay. So no one ever got fat from eating too much veg, so therefore I don't need to add them. Now, if I start adding in things like butternut squash or corn, then obviously they are a little bit more calorific, okay, than iceberg lettuce or asparagus. So I will count those, okay, but not the green veg, okay. So use them as free food, guys, okay. So that's food number 4. Food number 5, give me 1 second. Now, I couldn't take these out because I didn't want them to defrost, okay. It's quite a nice day today, so I don't want them to lose frozenness on the side, but they are berries because they go into our 3rd food on the list, okay. Extra thick protein shakes, but also as well, okay, you could pretty much have a whole bag of strawberries, okay, for under 200 calories, okay. That's a whole bag, okay. You could have more or less the whole bag again for under 200 calories, okay. Blueberries, a whole bag, slightly over 200 calories, but not by much, okay. And I challenge you, if you can eat a whole bag of blueberries or strawberries or blueberries or any kind of berry, then you can, okay, consider yourself a person with quite a healthy appetite, okay, because they are very satiating. Also as well, one of the major benefits I find, okay, is if you do have a sweet tooth, okay, or you do get any cravings, if you have a bowl of berries or even mixed berries in your fridge, okay, you get all the natural juices, okay, at the bottom of your bowl. And when you eat, okay, a bowl of frozen berries that's been defrosted, okay, in the fridge or on the side, okay, you are getting the juices, and it just, for me, it takes away all those cravings, okay. So it does help. Now, obviously, I'm not saying never go and have a sweet treat, but I'm just saying these kind of things help you with managing your weight, okay. Obviously, being a berry, they're packed with micronutrients. Obviously, every single berry has different nutrients in them, but you've got fiber, you've got vitamin C, vitamin Bs, you've got vitamin D in some of them, okay, and they're cheaper than fresh berries, okay. But the reason why I particularly go for frozen rather than fresh is because of those extra thick shakes. In the summer months, okay, I have 1 to 2 thick shakes a day, okay, and these are absolutely fantastic for those. You can't do that with fresh fruit. It just doesn't thicken up those shakes enough or in the same way, okay. You can make ice cream, okay, with frozen berries very quickly. You can do it with with fresh berries, but you need to freeze those first. They're cheaper, and depending on where you read, okay, I've seen a lot of evidence to suggest the frozen berries are actually more nutritious and fresh, partly because, okay, obviously they grow on a stem, and as soon as you take them off the stem, they start, okay, to erode, and all the nutrient content starts to get diluted. Now, I don't know how true that is, okay, but there's a lot of research to suggest that's the way it is. Now, some of the negativities is obviously they're still relatively expensive in the grand scheme of things. Yes, they are cheaper than fresh berries, but they're still quite expensive, okay? You're talking of probably around £2 to £2.50 per bag, depending where you shop. I always get some kind of discount on them because I do arbitrage with supermarkets, okay? But it's not uncommon to get 2 packs for £4 or 2 packs for £3. Sometimes, not very often, you get that kind of discount. But yeah, they are quite expensive, okay? Like I say, some of the, again, the downside of it is, okay, is that they don't last long once they're out. Same with fresh berries, okay, but obviously they need to be maintained in the fridge. But I have got them out and obviously kept them in the fridge, and you get called away, okay, or yeah, you just forget about them in the fridge for a day or so, and they don't last too long. I say a day or so, they do last longer than a day, obviously, but they can obviously go off a lot quicker than your other foods as well. I suppose the one thing I'm going to point out, if you do have kids, don't wear anything white, okay? If you're getting them out for them, okay? Certainly if they're defrosted, one splash on anything white, and believe me, you are going to find it next to impossible to get it off. Okay, so it's just something to be wary about. Or if you're clumsy like I am, okay, maybe avoid wearing anything white, okay, just in case that happens. So guys, that concludes, okay, my 5 foods, okay, for weight loss. You've got Greek yogurt, okay, you've got mince, you've got filler foods, okay, that's food number 4. Food number 3 was extra thick shakes, and food number 5, berries, okay. Take your pick, they're all very nutritious, okay, they all yield many benefits to them. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you've got any questions, you know where I am. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Yeah, hope you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get out there, enjoy the sun. I believe the rain is coming, okay, if you're in the UK anyway. Otherwise, I will see you in the next episode. Take care, guys. See you soon.